There's the man.
Hello.
Hey, man.
How
Lamarr.
are you? How goes it?
Good. On my end, your audio is a little bit on the lower side. It
Do I
might
need
be
to hold
me.
it up like this? Is
Yes,
that
sir.
better?
It's a bit better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these headphones are kind of what's the polite way to say it, sir? Janky. So yeah, that's generally what it is. And every time I get up and get it sounding right, let me see if I got something I can clip it with. Maybe I don't. Will that work? No, whatever. I'll just hold it. I talk with my hands anyway. So yeah. How is everything? Oh, I got my thing I need to share. To share this.
Good.
All right, everyone. Is there anything you need from me?
Um, no. I mean, if you want to go ahead and get your deck up, I think, or you probably wait, whatever you want to do. Um, any particular way you want to be introduced? You want to introduce yourself?
You whatever housekeeping stuff you need to do, you do that, and then
Okay.
I'll take it from there. I got you.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Why is it not? How do I?
Where are you out of, man?
Atlanta, Stone Mountain,
Okay.
Georgia. Mm-hmm.
I'm a Saints fan, man, so don't hate. I don't know if you're into
Say that part
sports, but
again.
I'm a New Orleans Saints fan, man, so don't hate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, I'm from Ohio originally, so I
Okay, all
don't.
right.
Yeah, it don't. It
Okay,
don't.
right,
It ain't
right on.
bothering me at all. I have no horse in the race. I tell people all the time. You a fan?
Yeah. Okay,
Whatever.
I think we're ready to roll. Move over.
Okay. Whenever you are, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Only 8 people in.
Okay.
Or Dana, you want to wait maybe another little bit, or you want to move over?
You can go whenever. We're ready.
Okay. All right, let's go.
You mean me?
No, I think Dana
Oh,
asked
I
you.
didn't. Oh,
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 no,
okay,
go for
okay.
it. Go for it, Nick. I've set recording. You can do the intros. Yep, it's ready to go.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. I'll be here for our May Lunch and Learn. We have a guest I've been looking forward to his presentation for a bit, Lamarr Lewis. Lamarr has a background in psychology, therapy, things like that. And what he'll be doing is going over some storytelling strategies for our projects, right? To all of our stakeholders and whatnot. I know for me that can be very helpful, right? So, anyway, with that, I'll go ahead and kick it off to Lamarr.
All right. How's everybody doing today? Can everybody hear me well? I know we were having some sound difficulties. People can do emojis and stuff, right? So if you can hear me, give me like a thumbs up or something so we can know we're on the same page here. Fantastic, fantastic. All right, all right. So let me share my screen. I'll go into my introductions and I'll get right to it because we're here for a good time, not a long time. All right, all right. Can everybody see the screen? Cool. So today we're here to talk a little bit about these gamified strategies and storytelling to level up our leadership. All right. If that's why you're here, fantastic. If you're not, just act like you're here for that. Stick around. Maybe you'll learn something with us, right? That's one of my many bad dad jokes that you'll hear today. So, as previously stated, I am Lamarr. Um, and always give disclaimers before I start these sessions, just so people know what they're dealing with for the next, close to an hour that we're together. So the first disclaimer is that I'm a preacher's kid. So all that means for us in this space is that uh-huhs and amens make the sermon go faster. What do I mean? This is call and response. This is engagement. I know this is a webinar and it's not a bunch of interaction in that way. Let me pause for a second because we talked about this yesterday. If I say anything or you have a pressing question in between time, feel free to like use the raise your hand feature. I'll call on you. You can unmute and ask your question or make your statement or whatever the case may be. All that being said, we'll be very active in the chat, very active with the emojis and things like that. So please engage with me as I engage with you over these next few minutes. Secondly, I have ADHD. That's a verified diagnosis. I'm not making it up. And I bring that up because I verbally process, or as I like to say, I think narratively. So what that means for us is that how many of y'all have ever seen the movie Avengers before? If you've seen Avengers, like put like a one in the chat or a thumbs up or something. So I know. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate you. Tim was an A+ student. I can tell. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, so if you remember the movie Avengers, you remember Tony Stark had that computer in the sky. That's how my brain works when I'm talking. I'm trying to find the right file. So if you give me time, I'll get to the point. I'm not just beating around the bush. I promise you we going somewhere. All right. Third is I'm a proud public school graduate. And what that means for us in this space is that you can ask me a question and I'll give you a quick answer. But if you give me time, I give you the right answer. I'm gonna figure it out. Just let me work on it. All right. Which leads me to my fourth point. You will hear a lot of bad dad jokes today. You don't have to laugh at me. I laugh at myself. And lastly, I'm a therapist, not just by the thousands of hours of clinical interactions I've had with other humans or the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of bucks I've spent in college and student loan debt to call myself a therapist. I'm the person people come up to in Kroger, and I could be there to get milk and eggs for the family. And they just say, "Hey, excuse me, brother. I'd like to talk to you for a second." Don't know me from a can of paint. That's been me my whole life. All these things I like to share on the front end so we're not confused on the back end, but also let you know a little bit about me, right, and what you're dealing with these next few minutes. And so, again, we're trying to level up this leadership, right? That's what we're here for. So, we got some learning objectives. I'm not going to belabor the point with those, but what I will do is try to answer this big question. If I can answer this big question, I've done what I'm supposed to do today. If I don't, act like I did, and we'll figure it out better next time. That was another bad dad joke. Y'all can laugh at that. Uh, but the big question I'm trying to answer here, thank you. That one laughing emoji helped me a lot. Uh, is how can we apply storytelling and gamified methods to improve our leadership and project management? How can we apply storytelling and gamified methods to improve our leadership and project management? The gamified part is a part that I'm really excited to share with you all. Let me also ask this. How many of you all right now are multitasking? I know it's a lunch and learn. How many of y'all are multitasking? Give me a one in the chat if you are multitasking. And not judging. It's not a place of judgment. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. If you're not multitasking, you put a two. If you're not multitasking, if you're kind of a little bit of both, you can put a 1.5. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, we're kind of in the mix. Okay, cool. Well, no problem, Carrie. Eat your lunch. That's what this is, the lunch and learn, right? This is actually my lunch break. So I asked that question because, you know, for the next few minutes, as much as you can, give yourself the gift of presence, give yourself the gift of, mindfulness and being there. You know, this is for you all. So I want to make sure you're getting everything you need from me. So I got my timer on. Like I said, one of the issues with ADHD is executive function, so I can stay on track. And we are going to get to what we came here for. Hope you all are excited. Anybody excited like me? Is it just me who's excited? Is it just me? Hope y'all excited. Give me an emoji if you're excited. Smile. There we go. All right, we got a celebration. There we go. It's a celebration. Hey, cool. Let's get to it. So, y'all like those? Oh, y'all gonna need those emojis in a minute too, by the way. Um, I always start these conversations with quotes that I want you to kind of think about that'll frame our time together. So I'm going to read the quotes that are on the screen. Then I would like for you in the chat, if you would like, or if you want to share verbally, you can raise your hand and we'll call on you. But I want you to let me know what resonates with you, what doesn't resonate with you about what's on the screen. All right, about the quote. So the first quote, you will have a much harder time dealing with a gnarly challenge if you have distilled it down to a crux. You will have a much harder time dealing with the gnarly challenge if you have distilled it down to a crux. That's Richard P. Ramelt. Second quote comes from me. You make the work a game, then progress is the prize. If you make the work a game, then progress is the prize. Thinking about why we're here today, what we're talking about, these areas of growth for us. What comes to mind? What resonates with you? What do you think about? Again, you can put it in the chat, or you can, if you want to unmute and raise your hand, just raise your hand and we'll call on you. But what do you think about those quotes? And not sure I understand the first one. For sure, Barbara. I got you. Not a problem. Does anybody else have an idea on the first one? No problem, James. I got you. Does anybody have their idea of it before I give an answer? Yeah, the first one is a lot many for sure. Yeah, crux. Can I be honest with y'all? When I was coming up with the image, I had to look up the word crux because I know what it means when I say it, right? But I also know it has multiple meanings. And this is going to be relevant to us in a second, the multiple meanings part. Um, it does, right? And this is what I want us to begin to think about. We're talking about these projects, right? I love y'all. Y'all's brains are already working, and this is important because when we talk about the crux, we're talking about the root cause, the biggest takeaway, what the point is. However, if we just distill it down to one point, we miss other opportunities, right? When we're dealing with the projects, we're dealing with the programs, and even though I'm in behavioral health, I still do project management. That's what I do as a consultant, right? Helping organizations manage these projects and programs. But if we only look at one solution, we miss some of the other opportunities, especially dealing with, in this brother's words, gnarly challenges, right? Yeah, there you go. There you go, Tammy. Right on. Yep, it's okay. That's why I'm here, Barbara. That's what I get paid to do, to help clarify. That's what we here for. But you knew it already. You just needed me to say it a different way. I got you, Barbara. It's all good. Yes, and the second one, yeah, positive spin does make it easier to do the work. Right. So when we put these two together, right, if we don't see the options, we don't see the fun in it, we don't see the opportunities to, you know, make work fun, enjoy what we're doing, then we miss out on that prize, on that jewel. Right. That's my perspective on it. But again, I'm open to all perspectives. That's why we're here. Thank y'all. I'm so glad y'all was like, yo, that don't make no sense, bro. I'm confused. Thank y'all for advocating for yourself. That's a lesson within itself for y'all leaders, right? So let's do this icebreaker. All right, it's called the emoji quest. You're already doing this. So I want y'all to pause before, listen to all the directions before you answer, because there's always one A+ students who wants to answer first. Here's what I want you to do, and this is an activity you can take and you can use um, for yourself. Like I always say, I'm only married to my wife, so you can take this, do whatever you want to do with it, right? Um, what I would like for you to do, we could call this a chat storm. In your chat bar, don't press enter, but in your chat bar, I want you to tell the story of your most recent project using these three emojis, right? The start of the project, the hard part of the project, the challenge, and then the outcome, right? Just using three emojis telling one story. Then I'm gonna count to three and we'll all press enter at the same time. Okay. Matter of fact, let me be a part of this as well. Let me be a part of this as well. All right. All right. Let me find a good one. Hmm. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's not the right one. Okay. Everybody about ready? Here we go. On the count of three. One, two, three. All right. Let's see. Let's see. It's so crazy how so many of us use similar. Emoji. Oh, this is such a cool activity. Oh, we got some tears. Oh, what's the tears for? Nick, what's the tears for? Talk to me. What's going on? Okay. Oh, wow. Tim, that's new. Oh, that's happy. Okay, well, at least you're smiling at the end. All right. So I'm gonna just pick on a couple people and you can just put it in the chat. Um, Tessa, can you put in the chat what your story was? Just real quick. It ain't even gotta be super long. We just wanna understand what your story was. Just want to understand. And you know what? Let's do a few other people. How about Mindy? And then is it Nick? Project a hot mess and keep yeah, yeah, Tessa, I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. Anybody relate to Tessa? Right. And Tim too. You could put yours in. Just like and Tessa did a great job. Put yours in too. Let me know. Let me know what your story is. Right. Let me know. Let's get a couple more examples in there. And again, if you have virtual or hybrid teams, even if you did a face to face, staff meeting, trainings, whatever, this is a good icebreaker to kind of get people, laughing and thinking creatively and outside the box. Excited to start, worked hard to get it done on time within budget management, cut budget, and last emoji was me laid off. So dang man, I'm sorry to hear that. Pulled into a project that had already missed its deadline, had a lot to do. A lot of them in detailed collection ended up delivering the new deadline. Okay, all right, Tim, cool. Got 5 months to integrate the systems of that's a big deal. If I can get 1% of the 650, I'd be set, good brother. That's big. That's big money. Yeah, Mindy, no, for sure. I just want to, I know how that can be, for sure, for sure. Let me ask y'all this real quick question. How many of you all are like fractional or like contract folks? Like if you're fractional or contract or something like that, project based, give me like a one. If you're like an employee for the place you work for, give me a two. If you kind of in between and don't know, give me a 1.5. I'm trying to see. Okay. Okay. Or if you got to maybe a side hustle, maybe you work for somebody, but you got your own little side thing, and I'm not judging at all. Okay, so most of us work for somebody. Okay, cool. I just wanted to ask. All right, did y'all like that activity? That was cool. Please use this, man. It's all for y'all. So let's keep moving, right? So what I want to highlight right here is what we're calling, the leadership formula, where we're combining these three elements to really improve our impact, right? So the formula for me is meaning, which we build through story. We'll touch on this in a second. Momentum, which will build through gamification, and then safety, which you build through psychological safety. Now, I'm going to be honest with you all. All of these are like super duper long, not long, but more in depth topics, obviously. But we just want to touch on them real quick so you have something to hold on to. And I'm still trying to figure it out via Zoom before we leave. I want to give you all a takeaway that you can have and use and apply for yourself. So would I be interested in that? Y'all want something to take away? You want something to go home with? I hope so because I worked hard on it. So again, meaning through story. Okay, we got some thumbs up. I got y'all. Momentum gamification and then safety, psychological safety. All right. So why story matters, meaning. I want you to look at the quote on the screen. We're going to do like we did earlier. Just give me some feedback. Story, as it turns out, was crucial to our evolution, more so than opposable thumbs. Opposable thumbs let us hang on. Story told us what to hang on to. What do y'all think about that quote? Story was crucial to our evolution, right? I want y'all to think a little bit about stories. Accurate. Yeah, 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 for sure. For sure, for sure, for sure. For sure. Right? Story helps us focus, makes the work mean. So absolutely, Barbara, for sure. For sure. For sure. Right. To kind of piggyback on Barbara's point, the story oftentimes is the why. How do we build that buy-in? How do we get folks on board? Yes, promote more. Absolutely, James. Right? Think about all these fantastic stories. I'm a big movie guy, so a lot of times I think about movies, right? But these are stories. These are things that connect us, build us, especially over time, right? All of our ancestors, they didn't have this lovely supercomputer in our pocket, right? What do we have? We had stories. We had to share and pass stuff down, right? So all these things are important. And to Barbara's point, we talk about storytelling and brand. You can hear some different stories from me today. Um, when we tell stories, it increases attention and memory, right? Enhances that emotional engagement and empathy, and supports meaning making and decision making. Now let's apply this back to our project management. Look at those three areas and why, and Barbara's point, and even James's point, and in y'all's own words, why do you think stories are important? Why do stories matter? You look at those 3 points, you look at the quotes of your colleagues. Why do those things matter from you all's vantage point? Right. When we're talking about dealing with projects and you know, these multi-million dollar acquisitions and trying to bridge the connection between, you know, getting the project done, the folks who seeing it through, and leadership and stakeholders and all that jazz. Like, why is it important? Yep, increases retention by giving a framework. Dave, that's a great point. Provides context, helps relate to concepts to people. Absolutely, Tim. If it's a good story, I can insert myself inside, that I'm part of it. Absolutely. All those answers are spot on. The why. That's it, Tessa. It's the why. Why am I doing this? Right? How many of y'all have ever heard that before? Why am I doing it? Connects the WIIFM to the project for sure. Right? Have you ever heard that from somebody you leading or you trying to get something done? Why am I doing this? What's the point? You know, you hear these things, stories, right? And I want y'all to think about this as we prime this part of the stories, and we'll keep going. When I do this more in depth, one of the things I like to ask is, who is the storyteller of your family? Right? For me, it's my Uncle Lordy. My Uncle Lordy, you didn't know if he was telling the truth, he was lying, he was funny, he was engaging, he had these characters. To Barbara's point, he would insert you in the story, right? And I remember that. I want y'all to think about that for a second. Who's the storyteller in your family? And then think about what characteristics they had. And let's put a couple of them in the chat. What are some characteristics of the best storyteller in your family? Whether they're still living, or, you know, like my uncle, he's since passed away. But what were some of the characteristics that you remember from the key storytellers in your family? Animated, yep. Voice inflection, yep. Entertaining, animated, absolutely. Absolutely. Emotion, yep. Passion and personal investment, right? And I want y'all to keep note of all these words, right? Keep note of all these words, because these are the same characteristics we need when we're telling stories to the people that we lead and the projects we're trying to complete and all that kind of stuff, getting the buy-in that we're looking for. We need to be animated. Maybe not animated like me, and I'm actually subdued a bit today because I get kind of excited. And I'm holding this microphone. I don't want to lose anything. But how I inflect my voice, right? The entertaining animation, the emotion, tapping into that, and passion and personal investment, right? Hopefully y'all can feel, I'm using myself as an example. I'm excited about this. I believe in this work, right? And all that helps us tell the story. So an example of this is a tangible framework. Um, this comes from a gentleman named Kurt Vonnegut. He was an author and playwright and screenwriter, all this stuff. Kurt Vonnegut, Vonnegut, right? But he came up with this concept called the man in the hole. Now, I believe in, you know, inclusivity. So I say human in the hole, but it's the same concept. And this was what he said. He said, you'll never lose money telling the story about a man in the hole. I'll say that one again. You'll never lose money telling a story about a man in a hole. I'm going to go through what this looks like, and then I'm going to ask you all to think about other stories you know that follow the same flow. Y'all ready? All right. Comfort zone. Life, just living life regular. Everything was cool. The trigger, right? Something happens. the crisis or the hole, the low point, right? If you've ever, been around people in recovery or things like that, they say the rock bottom moment, right? The lowest of the low. Then we get to the recovery part where we're doing what we need to do to get out of the hole, right? And then we end up in a better place. How we connect this to our projects, right? Comfort zone, where the team started, the trigger, what happened or launched the project or changed, the crisis or the hole, where was the team stuck? Where were the issues, right? The recovery or climb, what helped to move the team forward? How do y'all get out of the hole? And then lastly, a better place. What does success look like? Is it just completion of the project? Again, I work in behavioral health and public health spaces. So like, I'm gonna tell y'all a good story using public health, right? Comfort zone. Let's go back in time to about February 2021. I was coaching high school basketball, my son's high school basketball team. The season just ended, and we were getting ready to start preparing for the next year. We were excited. We ended on a good note. We were ready to go to the next level. Then, boom, something happened in February 2021. Anybody remember what happened then to all of us? If you live, have it happened, all of us. Anybody remember? Put it in the chat if you remember what happened February 2021. COVID. Boom. That changed everything, right? Where was the crisis? We was isolated. I was running programs for people with severe and persistent mental illness. We couldn't come in. And for the people I served, the biggest part of our program was the connection, the social connection, the social interactions. Well, we couldn't do anything. Also, in the midst of that, where I was working at, if I can be transparent, kind of sucked, right? But I was able to work from home now. I could be home with my kids. My daughter was in pre-K. My son was in high school. I was able to be there with them, help them. We did this very experiential learning, went on, field trips and stuff, whatever. So I was kind of enjoying being home. However, I was stuck, right? Now, July 2021, I get sick. I get COVID. Me and my daughter actually got COVID at basketball, right? And I'm stuck. I'm struggling. I'm doing all this stuff. And there's all kind of craziness happening at the job. Well, I get better. And in the midst of the craziness, I end up leaving my job. And life was hard for the first few months. However, I started building my consulting business. I began partnering with other organizations and providing, different aspects of services and stuff to them. And now I'm able to talk to great folks like you all on a whole other part of the country that I probably would never have met or never had connected with had I stayed where I was. Boom. That's the story. Right. And that's just on top of the head. I want you all to think about how you could insert your team story, your project story in these same spaces. And then again, let's think about some other stories. Now that y'all have seen it, y'all have heard me talk through it. What are some other stories that follow that flow? I could give a whole nother story, but I want to make sure I stay on my time agreement. But what are some other stories that follow that model? Or do you need a better example? I can give you a couple. Think about movies you've watched or some books you may have read. Maybe there's some, depending on your spiritual tradition, maybe that's the story of the messianic figure in your religion, right? But think about this. And the reason why I want you to think about some of these stories is because this model works. It's been working for thousands and thousands of years. Somebody just put a name to it, right? So when we tell stories, looking at those emotions and looking at the structure, if you follow that, right, it's a lot easier to tell the story and frame the story. But because I care about y'all so much, I'm going to give y'all an example of that so y'all don't even have to worry about it. I just got to figure out how to do it in this Zoom, but it's all good. So this is how we can do it. This is a visual representation of a project journey map, right? The human in the whole. So boom, you see step one, right? Where did the project begin? Starting point, context, strengths, aspirations. What do we want out of the project? Second point, what triggered the need for action? What triggered us to move? The event, insight, realization, right? The current whole. What's the biggest challenges, constraints, and tensions right now, right? That we're dealing with said project. To Nick's example, maybe it's just the scale, right? Maybe it's resources. Maybe it's staffing, whatever it is. Like, what are these challenges we're facing? And what does it look like to move forward? Right, climbing out of that. What are some things we did, practical steps we took that we could potentially replicate in the future? All right, and then lastly, what's the better place? What do we achieve? What are we looking for? Right, what's going to look? What's a better outcome going to look like for us? Right. So again, if you follow that model, you answer those questions, you kind of input those things, you can develop a story that can be impactful. Does that make sense to everybody? If that makes sense, give me a one. If you're still confused, you can put a two. If it kind of made sense, you put a 1.5. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Cool. 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 All right. Bet. And again, we're gonna have some time for questions at the end if people have any as well. Oh, I'm sorry. So the next part of this, something I developed called the POP method. If you see it on the screen, it's real simple. Premise, obstacle, problem. Then the second step of it is practical steps, opportunities, and promise. When I say the premise, that's the what if question. That's what's kind of guiding our um our story, right? What if uh we implemented a new process regarding um you know IT development for a large company? I don't know. But whatever, like what would it look like? Then the obstacle. What are these external things that keep us from achieving, right? What again, might be bandwidth, might be capacity, it might be whatever, right? What are these external obstacles? But then also when I talk about the problem, I'm talking about the internal problem. Some is it what about staff morale? What about people's mindset towards change, right? What are some internal things that we dealt with? So we have the external obstacle and the internal problem, right? But then we go to the practical steps. How do we resolve it? What are some things we did or things we can do to correct it or to correct it? What are the opportunities, right? Instead of the obstacles, what are the opportunities? And then the promise, what do we get from it? What do we learn, right? So again, I call it the POP method, POP. All right, everybody got it? Premise, obstacle, problem, practical steps, opportunities, and promise. And we just gonna break it down, right? We just gonna break it down. So the premise, what if, right? That's that big again, that lead in kind of story. I mean, a kind of question that really helps us to uh, you know, create possibility and vision. All right. Then that obstacle was that external challenge, right? That's in the way. Then the problem. What were some of the internal barriers underneath that impact us, right? Low trust, fatigue, again, morale, fear of making mistakes, et cetera, et cetera. Practical steps. What are we doing next? The opportunities. What can this challenge teach us? And then the promise. What future does this project make possible? Right. Again, answering these questions kind of gives you the opportunity to craft a story that highlights all those elements you just stated. All right. That makes sense to folk. Y'all like the pop method? Y'all like that? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Let me know. Okay. All right. See, I knew it made sense to y'all because y'all just like y'all on top of it. As my aunt would say, y'all own it, doggone it. Like y'all are A+ students. If y'all can't tell, I wasn't the A+ student growing up. I wasn't. I was a knucklehead. But C's get degrees. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I just want to make y'all laugh. Make sure y'all are still awake. Make sure y'all are still awake. It's just pop, Tim. I mean, technically it's pop, to your point, but it's just pop. The method is pop, but the pop has two different meanings. It's two steps. The first step is the first pop again, that premise, obstacle, problem. And then the second pop or the second step is the promise, practical steps, opportunities, and promise. So yeah, it's technically pop, but pop has other connotations if you get what I'm saying, Tim. So I tried to synthesize it as best I can. But that's a great question. Thank you for asking. For sure, that's a great question. Yeah, yeah, I know you got me, Tim. I know you got me. All right. So momentum. How do we sustain this momentum? We got the stories, right? I told you I was gonna give y'all two storytelling methods. We got the human in the hole, and we got the pop method. So those are two things you can apply today to help you tell better stories or tell stories of your projects. You just answer those questions, implement those things. All right. So when we're talking about gamified project planning, the picture to my left, maybe you're right. My son made several years ago when I first came up with this kind of idea before I knew what gamified stuff was. But I wanted to frame projects and programs, right? Like I was going to organizations, and again, we're talking about behavioral health and public health, and there's different terminology in the public and private sector. It's the same stuff, but sometimes people just have a harder time getting it. So I helped. We were doing something on project management, and I said, "Look, I'm not an artist, but I kind of sketched it out. My son kind of made this thing, but I'm like, if you think about a game, right? How many of y'all remember Nintendo? Some of y'all may remember Atari, right? Sega Genesis, stuff like that. There was always like little bosses that you had to beat before you got to the big boss, right? And that's how I'm kind of framing this gamified project management, where you see at each level, there are different bosses, and then there's the big boss, the big thing that impacts how the project gets done, right? And so I want you to think about it. I can remember who said it in the chat earlier about the fun, around work. But I want us to kind of shift our reframe. This is my therapy talk from task to quest, right? That's what we're doing when we're gamifying project management. We're shifting from task to quest, right? Now, let me pause for a second. Why do you think I'm focused on shifting that language from task to quest? Anybody in the chat, let me know. Why are we talking about that? Or why are we using it based on what we know so far? I think Barbara what you said earlier, right? Yes, quests are more fun than tasks. Implies greater meaning. Ooh, Dave, that's a good one. I like that. I didn't think about that. That's a good one. Yeah. It implies a greater meaning, a deeper meaning, a bigger cause, right? Something deeper. We talk about making meaning, right? What we're doing with story. So it connects back to a story too, right? So if you go through those other methods and then we attach tasks to each part of this, that's how we're doing it, right? So y'all got the visual. Y'all see where we going with this. So let me give you some science behind it, right? Why gamification works. Why does it work? Well, again, everybody, I know y'all can't see me and I can't see you, but everybody grab this thing. I know some of y'all have it in front of you. Can y'all see it in my background? All right, some of y'all grab this thing. What this is your phone. Everybody got your phone nearby, right? Now, I'm gonna give y'all a story. Keep your phone with you. I want you to keep this in mind. I told you I'm a therapist. I don't do as much individual and couples therapy as I used to because I do more organizational stuff, right? Um, but it all started there. So imagine, and since we talked about COVID earlier, when COVID happened, we weren't seeing people face to face. We moved to, Zoom and Teams and these different methods like that. So once the COVID, kind of lifted, a lot of us still do virtual. It's just more accessible, same quality of care and things like that. But I don't have to pay umpteen dollars, whatever it is, to rent a space. Now, here's the thing about doing therapy virtually. One can be distracted by this thing right here. So imagine I'm gonna use Barbara because I see her avatar on the screen. Let's say I'm on Barbara is one of my important people, one of my clients, and she's talking to me. She's bearing her soul to me, and this is what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that what? That's crazy. What might Barbara be feeling? Put it in the chat if you think. Just think about that for a second. What might Barbara be feeling? If she's bearing her soul to me and I'm annoyed, you're not really listening. Yes, yes, yes. What else? What else? Let down for sure. This all gonna be relevant to y'all in a second when we talk about these different things, right? Disrespected, not heard, absolutely, right? Now, why is this important? Because I let the dopamine hits I get from glancing at this phone and all these alerts I'm getting distract me. But gamification works on the opposite end because it helps us to counteract that dopamine hit in a more positive way, right? Oh, I completed the task. Oh, I checked this off. Oh, we got this quest done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Dopamine, we need that. That gives us a spark of motivation, right? Novelty, new. When there's a new challenge, a lot of us get motivated for the new challenge, right? So not only do we get the chemical dopamine hit, but we also get the novelty of a new challenge, and that excites us. That builds buy-in. That gets us excited, right? And then lastly, reward systems. When you complete something and you get rewarded for it, that's why most of us do stuff, right? That's the Brian Skinner operant conditioning. When we're talking about what? Uh, Anybody here have a dog? Right? When you train a dog, if they do the right thing, you give them a little treat or a little head rub. Then they learn, oh, if I want more of this, let me behave this way, right? So we tap into all of that when we apply gamification along with all the benefits of storytelling, right? These two things aren't separate, they go together, right? They can work best together. Um, Sidebar, because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm gonna just throw this out there. Um, some people are for medication, some people are against medication, some people are for talk therapy, some people are against talk therapy. And you can maybe do well with one or the other, but you get the best prognosis of success, the best outcomes when you do both. If you have a little talk therapy, and if you need medication, be clear, and you get that too. Studies show that people report, you know, uh, better outcomes, right? Why? Because we're using the two of the best methods together. All right. So if you apply this gamification and you apply storytelling to the project, listen, man, don't be surprised if you see some success. Not saying you will. I don't want to, my views are just mine. I don't want to sell anybody any dreams. But I will say, in my experience, this tends to work. All right. So let's keep going. So, how do we break it down? All right. You pick your quest. You got to know what you're up against. How many of y'all remember G.I. Joe? And what was the number one phrase of G.I. Joe? At the end of each G.I. Joe session, what did they say? What did they say? Somebody tell me. Somebody don't make me feel alone. I turn 27 next month. No one is half the battle. Tim, you all right with me, man. Tim's my guy. Tim is holding it down. Yes, knowing is half the battle. You got to know what you're up against so you can know how to deal with it, right? So pick your quest. What and or what are we dealing with today, right? Name your adversaries. The language I was talking about earlier, excuse me, I got sidetracked. I got excited. What are those bottlenecks? What are those things that are keeping us from moving forward? What are those things that are constricting us? Sometimes it's a process thing, it's a systems thing. Sometimes it's a people thing. Right? But what are these things we're up against? Right? And then locate the side quests and rewards. Right? What are some stuff that if you go to like that Eisenhower matrix, right? That might be important but not urgent, right? Or urgent but not important. Like, what are these things? What are some rewards we get from it? What are some things we can do, right? And then defeat the big boss. What's that big barrier to success that we're up against? How to get, and if we achieve each level, then we've developed the skills, tools, apparatus, right, to defeat the big boss. Then we celebrate. Now, let me pause this. I'm not saying you got to throw a pizza party and or donuts or whatever. All those things are great. However, sometimes it can feel. This is from my experience going around different places around the country and talking to folks. So this ain't just me. I'm just telling you what I've heard. Some places feel like, oh, that's disingenuous. Oh, now you want to do a pizza party because we did this. What about the other days when we did all this hard work and we didn't get any pats on the back, right? Celebrating doesn't have to be a big ordeal. It does help. I ain't saying don't do it. Again, two things can be true at the same time. However, celebrations throughout the process are just as helpful, motivating, and inspiring, especially when you're telling the story. Look, man, we were struggling with this and we got through it today. Listen, man, this is the work y'all doing. Oh man, I can't, right? Sometimes we miss that because we're just so focused on the next level. We don't think about applauding the win we get as we move up. So just keep that in mind. All right. So again, pick your quest, name your adversaries, locate the side quests and rewards, defeat the big boss, and celebrate the win. What does it look like? Anybody know this movie on the screen? There's a reason why I use this picture. Y'all can tell I'm really intentional about the pictures and stuff. What movie is this? Anybody know? Man, I keep dating myself. I tell you.
Friday.
Friday. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Now this is important. We talk about side quests, stuff like that. That guy, that mean looking guy right there. Rest in peace, Tiny Lister. That's Debo. Debo was the neighborhood bully. And that's Chris Tucker on the right. If you don't know, a younger version of him, he went by the name Smokey. He was like the neighborhood, he's like the court jester, right? But this is important because Debo was bullying them to do some stuff they didn't want to do. So they went on a side quest that ultimately worked out, but it could have deterred them from the goal at the time, right? So we don't want to get so caught in the side quest that we miss out and let Debo, whatever that side quest might be, move us off of what we're trying to do, right? That's the big villain. We don't want that to move us where we're trying to go. We got to push forward, right? So we start small. It don't have to be a big deal, right? Again, we think about the levels. We start small. This is how we do this. Stay on track. We need to visualize where we're going in these different things. All right. And I'm gonna give y'all a document that has that. Hopefully I figured out before we finish today. But if not, I'll email it and then it can be disseminated appropriately. With that being said, visualize the success, visualize where we're going, visualize that, and let people see it. One of the most terrible examples, I told y'all I'm a preacher's kid. I grew up in the church, and we used to have a building fund, right? And the building fund seemed to be ongoing forever and ever. It might still be going on, but they used to have that thermometer. And if you gave, every time they gave and hit a certain benchmark, you would talk off of somebody whoever's laughing, you know what I'm talking about. You mark off the thermometer where you are, right? And it's like, oh, we finally got our whatever, right? People like to see that. People like to see progress. People like to see change. People like to see the wins, right? Level 3, overcome those barriers, right? You got to identify the barriers. Back to G.I. Joe, right? No one's half the battle. What are these barriers? Let's spend time identifying them. All right. And that's what y'all already do. That's what y'all come in. That's y'all's expertise is identifying those barriers and overcoming them. All right. That's what y'all do. So let me give y'all some kudos real quick. This is what y'all already doing. We just framing it a little differently. And then we got to finish strong. All right. If y'all remember the movie, Debo ended up getting beat up. You know, the bully got bullied, right? So that's what that's the that's the takeaway, right? Finish strong, bully the bully, right? All right. So last part. This is what I spend a lot of time working with different organizations on. Um, if you are in risk management, this is now becoming ISO standard. Psychological safety. Before I keep going, is anybody familiar with psychological safety? Do you know what psychological safety is? If you do, give me your definition in the chat. Somebody tell me what is psychological safety? What is it? What is this thing we talking about today? And again, we're connecting it back to storytelling, gamified methods. What is psychological safety? Right now, permission to be authentic and to be vulnerable. Yes, make people feel what's to say? Make people feel at ease to speak up. Yes, people feeling safe. Yes, yes, yes. Feel safe to make a mistake. Yes, 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 yes. All of these are elements of psychological safety, right? Um, one of the big things it is felt permission for candor, right? It's Dr. Amy Edmondson who helped come up with this theory. Felt permission for candor. It is the ability to take interpersonal risk in this group setting without fear of reprimand or retribution, right? These are all elements of what you all said. And so when we look at this, I want you to look at both pictures on the screen. What pause for a second. The foundational elements of psychological safety are trust and respect. Trust and respect. Do I trust you to be consistent? Do I respect you enough as a human, as a person? Right? Trust and respect. Now, I'm going to go to all y'all's definitions of it, right? If I trust and respect the person, they might feel more at ease to speak up. They might feel permission to be authentic and to be vulnerable. They might feel safe to share their opinion, right? They might feel safe to make a mistake. So this is why the foundational components of this, before we even get to the levels, and again, y'all see a similarity there with the levels. um, being creating a space of safety is important when we're trying to move forward. The most innovative, high potential, um, successful teams are teams that are built around psychological safety, whether they know it or not. Right. And I want you to view this again, setbacks as turning points, setbacks as ways to improve. So if you look at both pictures, we're going to look at them parallel. At the baseline of psychological safety is inclusion safety, right? The need to connect and belong. Do I feel a part of this team? Can I show up as my authentic self? Can I share and express these things with myself, right? Can I do that? Me and a good brother were talking. He's a New Orleans Saints fan, right? Um, I'm not. I'm not a fan of any sports like that. I'm a boxer, so that's neither here nor there. But my point is, if I'm a new rookie, right, to the team, do I feel like I belong on the team? I can contribute. Do I feel like, and I just contribute? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself with contribute. But can I connect to others? Do I have a mentor? Do I got a veteran player that I can connect with? Do I got guys my age I can connect with? Guys in my position. I'm using sports as an analogy, right? To share the need for us to be to belong and connect. That's a basic human need. Now, parallel to the other picture, like you just said, am I allowed to make mistakes? One of the things that keeps people from connecting, keeps people from belonging, is that if they make a mistake, they're now excluded. Oh man, he dropped the pass that could have got us to the playoffs. He's not a part of this team anymore. Using the sports analogy. Am I allowed to make mistakes and come back, or do I fear I'm going to get cut? You hear where we're going with this? Right? Learner safety. Can I learn from my mistakes? Right? The need to learn and grow is another thing a lot of us desire. Right? So if I make a mistake, can I learn from it? Or if I make a mistake, will I be reprimanded without getting the opportunity to actually learn from it? Contributor safety, the need to make a difference. Am I allowed to make a mistake? Can I learn from it? Then can I keep coming back and offering offering to the team, making a difference in the team, right? And then lastly, challenger safety, the need to make things better. Can I have great ideas? Can I challenge the status quo? Can I challenge leadership in quote unquote a respectful way in this space and still be a part, right? So that's what psychological safety is. And again, let's connect it all the way back to the beginning. If I feel safe enough, and a big part of this is modeling vulnerability, sharing these stories, sharing the successes, and sharing the losses. I don't believe in losses, I believe in lessons, but for the sake of conversation, right? How does this work for us? Are you in spaces? Let me ask y'all this. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Let's say scale of 1 to 10. Where do you feel like, no, we'll say scale of 1 to 10. 10 being a super psychologically safe place and 1 being not safe at all. Where do you feel you are at your, where you're working at now? Scale of 1 to 10, where you feel like you are as far as the psychological safety goes. I said 10 being super safe, 1 being not safe at all. Well, that's good, James. Hey, okay, good, good. Reason I take that, Tim. I like how you worded that. Reasonably safe. I like how Tim worded that. Reasonably safe. Right? Now, sometimes it's safe based on where we are in the hierarchy, right? For some people who may be above or below, it might be different. But it is important to keep this in mind as we're talking about, again, how do we apply stories? How do we gamify this stuff? You got to even feel safe enough to apply, maybe some of these methods because they might be unconventional, right? So in closing, because I want to leave time for questions if you have them. There's 3 things I want you to think about. And if you want to write them in the chat, you're more than welcome to share. But if not, this is really just for you to reflect. That's AI Lamarr as the Riddler. My good friend Chapman Geraldton Preston Thomaston helped make that image of me. Let me see who caught that one. See if anybody caught that one. But yeah, what was your aha moment today? What was something that somebody called it. There you go. You learned. And even if you didn't learn, maybe you were reminded of. Maybe this isn't novel information for you, but you're like, you know what? I didn't think about it that way, or whatever. What's your aha moment? What's something you're gonna start doing? That's new that you haven't done yet. And then what's something you're going to get better at, something that you're already doing that you can improve. I always like to end with that because I want you to kind of hopefully you can answer all three of those questions based on our conversation today. But also, just want to make sure that, we're thinking about that. And also, again, we want to gamify for motivation, for engagement, for buy-in, break those larger tasks into levels and side quests, right? Track progress visually and reward those milestones. Right, that's all we're doing. We're telling the stories, we're getting that buy-in, bringing those things in, and then we're gamifying it from there. And then again, we're creating those spaces of safety within our teams so that we can get the most out of folks, not from not having an ulterior motive per se, but just making sure that we're able to, um, people want to come to work, want to show up, want to buy in, want to give their all because they believe in the story, right? They believe in something bigger and they can see the wins. So if you have any questions of me, you can also scan the QR code. That's how you can get a hold of me. It's send you to my website. Um, but I'm gonna try to find these forms for you so I can. Oh, haha. So hopefully it comes through. Let me know if you get it. That's the gamified task planner um, that I have attached, and I will. Is there any other resources you all need from me that I can get to you all as well? Like, do you want the storytelling stuff as well? If so, I can uh, adjust the language for mental health and give it to you all for you with the work we're doing. And I'll get that to y'all by the end of the day, right? Just, scan the QR code and reach out and I'll get it to you. But yeah, do we have any questions of me?
All right, I think we're good. Hey, just some housekeeping items before we adjourn here today. So I want to thank Lamarr first and foremost for taking the time to come do this. Glad to have you, man. Um, we do have an upcoming event, the Table Talk, that Amy's going to be running. That'll be on the 20th at the Black Bear Diner by the movie theater, like off of Overland. So keep that in mind. If you want to come to that, please do. It's a $20 purchase to get food too as well. You get to mingle with other PMs, talk about what you got going on. So I'll be there. Look forward to it. Hope I get to see some of you there as well. We do have a lot of the lunch and learns kind of booked already for the rest of this year. So if anybody here, if you want to present at a lunch and learn, we're gonna kind of leave that open for have people to do that if they want. If there's some topics that in particular that you would like to see as well, reach out to me and we can see what we can do to um, address that topic, right? If you want to reach out to me as well, you can hit me up on LinkedIn. Feel free to do that, and it'd be great to just connect with you and talk to you. If you have any other questions with PMI or whatever, I can kind of get you pointed in the right direction too. And I love connecting with folks that attend these as well. So I don't have anything else.
Thank you all again for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to connecting again in the future, man. Maybe get out there to Idaho, man. I'm looking. I'll come out there, man. We're a hub. We can fly. I'll come out there. We'll figure it
Nice
out.
spot. If you like fishing, man, it's a pretty good spot.
Hey,
And
man, I sure do.
oh, there you go. All right. So I know they got some good fishing in Georgia too. I didn't introduce myself too. So Nick Landry, by the way. So I know I've seen some familiar faces and names here, but some not. So if you want to hit me on LinkedIn, Nick Landry. Dana, you have any announcements you need to make?
Nope, we're good. Thank you. Great job,
Okay.
Lamarr.
Thank you. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
See you on the next one. Okay. Bye.